This week, we are going to be looking at how British Columbians live with loss and grief. Now, for some, doctors play a big role in this, supporting patients, their families, loved ones, and others through often very hard times, and sometimes to the end of lives. CBC health columnist Dr. Melissa Lem joins us for more. Thanks for joining us. A family doctor, you may be part of a group of medical care providers who are helping people navigate some very difficult times. Maybe it's also you on your own. What goes into that process?
Well, it depends on where you live and what access to resources you have in that community. But as a family doctor, I think the most important thing that I can do to be part of that team is to just be available for my patient when they have concerns or questions about their care, whether it's their physical health or really in particular their mental health. I can help just kind of navigate that for them. And I think that longitudinal relationship is really important at that stage of life because they often will have issues coping with things or they have questions about how to move forward with their care. I often refer patients to specialists, and the consultation note comes back saying they want to discuss their care plan with their family doctor before they make any decisions. And the reason for that is because we are both experts in medical care, but also experts in our own patients. And that ability to provide care from cradle to grave is really a big responsibility, but also a big privilege.
What about when you speak with, perhaps if they come in with a loved one, whether it's a spouse or a child or another person, how do you navigate this process with that person who is living with somebody who may be nearing the end of their life, but is not dying themselves?
Well, it really depends on the needs of the family. Sometimes they do need more support psychologically, but other times they sort of want to take care of themselves and kind of navigate that care on their own. But I will say within a big city, for example, in my practice here in Vancouver, we often do have access to palliative care teams. And in that case, my role will be to kind of absorb what the recommendations are and help answer their questions about the plan and then help them come up with decisions. When I'm in a smaller community, though, sometimes I practice rurally. Sometimes there really isn't access to that specialized care team. And what I'll often do is I'll make a home visit to the patient to assess their entire situation and help direct their care. So I think as family doctors, really, we respond to the needs of the patients in different situations.
When you are working with other healthcare providers, what goes into the coordination? Because not only are you dealing with a lot of emotion perhaps from a patient, but having them navigate this with highly specialized people and equipment, that kind of thing.
Well, if you think about their overall medical care team as a symphony, really the family doctor is the conductor. Because if you don't have someone coordinating all the care, receiving all the different notes and input from different specialists on their team, things really start to get messy. And so it's really what we do at other points in their life. If they have a complex medical situation, whether it's an end of life or a chronic disease, we really just help coordinate everything that's going on for that patient.
And if and when a patient of yours does die, do you keep in touch with loved ones, if I can ask? And what do you, and why?
Well, I have had situations where a patient of mine has died unexpectedly, and that means that they haven't had the chance to give consent for their family members to be involved in their care or also to share their medical records. And I will have a family member sometimes reach out to me wanting to talk about what happened. And I will always take those phone calls because it does provide a lot of comfort for a family member to hear from someone who cared for their loved one, even though our regulatory guidelines say that we can't actually divulge confidential medical information without consent. And I think one of those other benefits is that sometimes their loved ones are also my patients because it's the whole family that I'm taking care of. So if I'm coming up with ways to support them or also just those difficult conversations, I hold their collective family and medical and social histories in my mind while I'm providing that care. And that's why I think it's really important for us to work towards everyone in BC to have a family doctor so they can have access to that high quality of care throughout their entire life experience.
We appreciate your time and your expertise as always, Dr. Melissa Lem. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Dan.